So our today's agenda will be, I'll be starting with a few of the remaining part of function. Dr. Harshal Shah has already covered functions in yesterday's session, but a few of the topics are left in functions. So I'll be starting with those topics. Then I'll be moving to modules and packages, right? So what we'll be covering in modules and packages? In modules, we'll be discussing about how to create our own modules and how to use existing modules which are available in Python. So we'll be covering both, right? And then if this works out right, and if time permits, we'll be moving to packages, right? And what is package, right? So it is combination of modules. We'll be discussing about packages in depth, right? What are the packages available in Python, say for example. And if it is done right, we'll be moving to the creation of our own packages, how we can create our own packages. We'll be discussing about it, right? So I'll be going through all these concepts by demonstration only, right? And I'll be showing you that how you can do it with just giving one example or two examples of the scheme, right? And then later on, if time is allowing us, we'll be moving to the exception handling. So how we can handle exceptions, how we can handle errors in Python. We'll be discussing about that also, right? And there is one more module, that is PDB module, that is used for debugging in Python, but that is out of scope for this particular series, right? In advanced Python, we'll be talking about PDB module as well, right? So our today's agenda is very much clear. We'll be starting with functions. From functions, we'll be moving to modules, and from modules, we'll be moving to packages, right? So that is our original agenda. So let us start with functions. So Harshal sir has already covered lots of things about functions. I'm going to start with new things regarding function, right? How we can work with functions, right? And then I'll show you that how you can use parameters in different ways, because Harshal sir has already discussed that there are three different types of parameter passing in Python. So you can pass positional parameters, you can pass keyword parameters, and you can also pass default parameters. I'll show you two variations in this. So variations in positional parameters as well as variations in keyword parameters, right? How we can apply these things in Python, right? And I'll be showing you one concept which is very important for documentation in Python, and that is known as docstring. So docstring is used in both the cases. It is used in Python as well. It is used in function as well as it is used in class. So I'll show you how to create our own docstring, right? And we'll be discussing about docstrings as well, right? So let's get started. I'll be sharing my screen, right? And I'll be showing you first how to create our own docstring, right? So what docstring I'll be discussing with the help of example, right? So I'm sharing my screen now. So this is ideally, again, as you know, right, we'll be working with Python 3, and we'll be starting with how to create our own docstring, right? So I'll be creating one function, let us say define sample, right? And I'm not passing any argument. It is just a sample function which I want to use to explain docstring. Now, what is docstring? What is the purpose of docstring? So docstring is a special string which is used in function as well as it is used in class. Now, what is the purpose of it? So the purpose of docstring is when you type help or when you use help function on any particular user-defined function or any particular inbuilt function, it gives you help regarding that particular function, right? So when we are working with user-defined function, when we are working with our own function, right, what docstring will help us? If somebody is trying to find help on our user-defined function, they can get it from the docstring, right? So what you have to do with docstring? So docstring should be always in the, or it must be always in the beginning of the function or class, right? So when I say define sample, sample is my user-defined function, right? And I'll be specifying a string. Understand this. This is very much mandatory in class as well as function, that docstring is always present in the beginning of the function or class, right? And it is known as documentation for that function. So what this sample function does, let us say it prints hello, say for example, right? This is, I just want to return to my user, right? It prints hello, right? And then I'll be writing something over here. Let us say print, and let us print hello. Very simple example of function, right? So now what we can do with this? I want to check the docstring of this, right? So how I can do this? So there are two ways to do so. So I can say print sample, right? And there is a reserve variable in the Python, right? That is underscore underscore. underscore underscore, right? You can run this code to get the docstring of the particular function, right? So sample is my function, and doc is just a variable within the function, and it is reserved in Python, right? So when I run it, if you can see this, it is giving me the docstring. What is that docstring? It says it prints hello, right? So hello is getting printed. No, why it is not getting printed? Because we have just asked for the docstring. We have not called the function hello, right? So how we can do that? So it's very simple. You know that, right? Print sample, opening bracket, closing bracket, right? Now it will be printing both the docstring as well as hello, right? So that is saying none. Why it is saying none? Because it is not returning anything. When function does not return anything, by default value which is returned by function is none, right? Yeah. So now if you can see, this first output is docstring, right? You can see that it prints hello, and second output is generated by function, right? Now say for example I want to have some argument over here. Let us say rather than printing hello, I have to pass a name, and it will be printed over here, right? So let me pass my name as an argument. Right. Very simple example. Now, will this change docstring? No. So it is not going to change docstring because our docstring is going to remain same, right? It prints hello because we have not changed it in the definition, right? So it says it prints hello, but the actual function is printing my name, right? Now, if you want to have multi-lines docstring, it is very simple. You can start with 3 times quotes, right? Because generally when you are creating function, your docstring will be a paragraph, not a single line docstring, right? So you can start with 3 quotes, right? And sorry, you can say it like this: it prints hello, right? And it is just a docstring, right? Very simple example, right? And I'm just going to run it. Now, if you can see, your docstring has changed. It is saying that it prints hello. It is just a docstring, right? Another way to get this docstring is you can run or you can use help function. So I'm just removing this calling part, and you can say print into the bracket help into the bracket function name. So what is my function name? Function name is sample, right? So I can run this code. Very simple case, right? Now it gives me everything about sample. So help on function sample in module main. Why I'm in module main? You might have seen certain things like if module name is equal to main in certain online lectures, right? So when you are running a single code, right, simple code like this, you are not importing any module, you are not using any function, and you are using function of this particular module only. It is called as main module, right? That's why it is calling me like help on function sample in module main. Now sample accepts one argument. You can see that the argument name is name, right? And what is that argument? It prints, what is the docstring for this? It prints hello. It is just a docstring, right? So very simple example of help. Again, it is printing none because I don't have to use print over here. You can say help and sample, that's all, right? So this is help on sample function, right? So this is how you can create docstring. This is one case, and it is very useful because when you will be working with your own code, larger codes in Python, right? When you will be working in a team, docstrings are very useful, right? You can create your own docstrings and you can help others so that they can find out what your functions are doing, right? The task which is being performed by your functions, right? So this is one example. Now I want to discuss about 2 more things, right, in functions. So first thing is you have studied keyword arguments, you have studied positional arguments, and you have studied default arguments, right? Now there are variants of using, right? So say for example, with one variable or one parameter, I want to hold multiple values in keyword arguments or in positional arguments. How I can do that, right? So for that, I'll be working with a very simple program. So let me start with a function called as menu. So this is just a simple program for defining, let us say, restaurant menu, right? And I'm saying that what should be, let us say, ice cream. Or let me say item 1 and item 2. Very simple. Item 1 and item 2, right? Now, when I run this, right, let us say I'm using return. And what should be written? So that item 1, or let me convert it to string, so there is no issue with it. Return str item 1 plus str item 2, right? Very simple example, right? This is how it works, right? And Now what you have to do is you have to call the function. So how we can call the function? So we have to call the function menu, right? Let me say item 1 is chocolate. Very interesting thing, right? And second item is ice cream. Again, interesting thing, right? So how this will be mapped? So chocolate will be mapped with item 1 and ice cream will be mapped with item 2. And you know this, right? Now what you have to do, as this is returning a string because it is an addition of two strings, right? It is again returning a string. Either you can use print or you have to store this in a variable. So I'll be using print over here, right? Very simple case, and the string will be printed, right? And if you can see this, it is printing me chocolate and ice cream. Let me, add one space over here so that it will be separated, right? This is how you can add space in between. So very simple case, very simple example, right? And this is being printed, chocolate and ice cream is being printed. Now let us understand that with one variable, I want to store so many items in this. How I can do that, right? So this is known as multiple positional parameter passing. And how you can do that? So let us say I'm saying star item 3. Now, when star comes into the picture, many of you get afraid, right? What is this star? Is it pointer in Python? So when you use star in function, it is not pointer in Python, right? You might have studied this. Python doesn't support pointers, right? So what we are going to do with this star? So star is nothing but it is multiple positional argument. Now, what do you mean by multiple positional arguments? So now understand this, what I'm going to do over here. So I'm going to pass few more things over here. So I have already passed chocolate. I have already passed ice cream. Let me pass something over here. Let us say roti. Let me say sabji. Right. Let me say salad. And we can have cold drink. Right. Very simple example. So we are going to create a menu items, right? So item 1 is getting mapped with chocolate. Item 2 is getting mapped with ice cream. But what about item 3? But for item 3, we have specified many more things, like it can contain roti, it can contain sabji, it can contain salad, it can contain cold drink, right? So how this is going to work? So understand this, what I'm going to do is, rather than return, now I'm going to use print statement so that it is very much clear to you. So print str into the bracket item 1. In the next line again, print into the bracket str into the bracket item 2. And over here, what I'm going to do is print into the bracket str. And I'm just going to say item 3. Don't use star over here. Making it very clear, right? So what this item 3 will be containing? So item 3 will be containing all this value as a collection. So roti, sabji, salad, and cold drink, they will be held as a collection in item 3. So let us see how it gets printed, right? So if I'm running this code, if you can see, okay, I don't have to call print now because I'm not returning. So it's just menu, right? Okay, and I have to omit this last bracket as well. So understand this how it works. Item 1 is chocolate, item 1 is ice cream, and item 3, if you can see, it is a tuple. So it is a collection having all these values, right? So what is the purpose of star? Star is very simple, right? Star stores multiple positional arguments. So multiple, that means there are more than one, right? We have stored 4 different arguments in one variable, and that is item 3, right? Now, if I can say this, let us say I want to discuss this. What is item 3 of 0, right? Let us just try it. And if you can see, it is giving me roti. Why? Because when you consider item 3 is a tuple, right? And when I say 0, 0 is what? First index, right? So what is that first index of item 3? Roti is at first index. So it is giving me roti as an answer, right? So it is very simple case of explaining multiple positional arguments, right? And this is how you can do it. This is how you can supply it, right? So that is supplied using star, right? Now another case is, if I don't work with positional argument, multiple positional arguments in my function, I'm always working with keywords argument, right? So you have used keyword parameters, right? Now How you can define keyword parameters, right? So it's very simple. So here, when you are passing arguments, you will be saying item 1, or let me say item 2 is equal to chocolate, because you can interchange the sequence in keyword parameters. Item 1, let me say it is ice cream, right? And what about item 3? So I can say item 3 is equal to something like this: roti, sabzi, salad, cold drink. Whether it is going to work or not, let us just try it, right? So let me just run this function, right? And it is giving me an error. This is not a valid case, right? So how I can do that? So it's very simple. Let me say I don't want to focus on this. I want to store everything in a single parameter. Let us item 3. And I want to specify it as a keyword parameter. So how you can do that? So instead of using single star, I'll be using double star. Very simple thing, right? Now what I can do? So item 3 is equal to roti. Let me say item 4 is equal to sabji. Item 5 is equal to salad. And item 6 is cold drink. Very simple thing, right? Now how it is going to work, understand this, right? So this is going to create a dictionary for me, right? And I have interchanged the sequence item 1, item 2, it doesn't matter, right? Oh, item 1 is not defined. Why? Because here there is no item 1 in the function. So here it should be only item 3. Okay? And I don't have to convert it into string, that is just a collection. Okay? So when you rerun it, if you can see this, it is giving me a dictionary. Item 2 is chocolate, item 1 is ice cream, item 3 is roti, item 4 is sabji. So our dictionary is created, right? Now these are not stored as string, these are just variable names, right? So say for example, if I want to print into the quotes item 2, say for example, and the quotes, what is item 2? Chocolate, right? Let us just try it, right? It gives me chocolate, because why it is giving me chocolate? Item 3 is now treated as dictionary, right? You can pass as many arguments as you want, and then you can find a key of this dictionary. So let us say item 2 is a key of this dictionary, and what is the associated value to it? Chocolate. So it is printing chocolate, right? So this is how you can work with multiple keyword parameters, right? We have seen multiple positional parameters, multiple keyword parameters. There are no ways to supply multiple default parameters, right? So you cannot supply multiple default parameters, because default parameters should have initialization value, right? So that we cannot pass multiple values to it, right? So very simple thing. You can pass a collection to default parameter. That is another thing, but it is not multiple parameters. Understand this. You are passing a collection, and collection will be treated as a single value. So there is a difference between multiple parameters and passing a collection to the default argument, right? Now understand this, when you work with it, always we follow a sequence. That sequence is, I always call it as PKD. So you always have to start with a positional parameter, then it can follow a keyword parameter, and then the default parameter should be there. If you don't follow this sequence, it might happen that it is prompting you an error, right? So this is what I wanted to discuss more about function, right? There are few things were left in yesterday's lecture, right? So we have seen today multiple positional parameters, multiple keyword parameters, docstring, and the sequence which you have to follow for passing the parameters, right? Now, what is next? So we are going to work with modules today. So module, I'll be sharing one PPT to explain what is module, right, and what is packages, right? And then we'll be discussing about how we can create modules and how we can create packages, right? So this is very much useful in explaining modules, right? So understand this, how this works, right? So what is module? So module is nothing but a script in Python, right? So this allows you to, logically organize your Python code, right? If you are, writing a larger piece of code, right? And if you want to organize it, right, what you do, we always divide our task into functions, right? So when you have more functions in your file, and if you store it as a Python file, it is known as module, right? So module is nothing but it is just a Python code. So say for example, here I was running test.py in this case, right? Test.py become my module, right? It can become my module. So very simple thing, right? What is module? Module is just a Python file with a .py extension, right? You don't have to do anything else. But how you can create a module? So what modules will contain? So let us compare our modules with a textbook example, right? So what do we have in a textbook? So if you consider a textbook, we start with the smallest unit in the textbook, that is word. right? Or later you can say, and later if you combine letters, it becomes word, right? Now, when you combine words, it becomes sentences, right? So now I'll compare this words and sentences with code terminology. What is word? It is kind of a vocab you use in programming, like function names, right? Variable names, operators, right? Or class names or object names. It can be anything, right? So this vocabs in programming, or constants, right? Say for example, constant can be a vocab, right? So this vocabs in programming, they are words, right? Now, if you combine these vocabs, right, it creates sentences in textbooks, right? But in codes, if you want to replace sentences, it can be replaced with statements, right? When you combine operators and constants and variable names and functions, it becomes statements, right? So it's a very simple example that how you can compare sentences with statements, right? Now, in textbook, if you combine sentences, it will become paragraph, right? So what is paragraph in code terminology? It's very simple. Paragraphs can be your functions or your classes, right? So when you combine statements and if you keep it in a block, right, it will become a function, or it will become a class, right? So in textbooks, we have paragraphs. In code, we have functions or classes, right? Now, when you combine a paragraph in textbook, it will become a chapter, right? So what is this chapter? It contains so many paragraphs in it. In code terminology, when you combine functions and classes, it creates module for you, right? So you can compare chapter as module in coding terminologies, right? Now, when you combine a chapter, here it is not mentioned, but I'm going to one more level. When you combine a chapter, it is going to become, or when you're going to combine chapters, it is going to become a book, right? Similar to that, when you combine modules over here, it is going to become packages in Python, right? So very simple thing, vocabs, they are constants, the constants, variable names, operators, function names. It can be user inbuilt functions, right? Or it can be user defined functions, right? When you combine this vocab, it is going to create statements for you. So you can compare sentences with statements. When you combine statements, it is going to become class, or it is going to become function for you, right? And when you combine classes and function, it is going to become a module for you. And you combine modules, combination of modules can be known as packages, right? So this is how we are going to work with it, right? So very simple scenario, right? Now I'll show you how to use modules in Python, and then we'll be creating our own module as well, right? Now, if you're good at right now, you if you are comfortable with Python, and if you know that this particular library is not available, module can be treated as library. So if you think that if this particular library is not available in Python, you can create your library in Python and you can submit it to Python indexing, Python package indexing, right? If they find a novelty in library, if they find your code is appropriate according to the standards of Python, right, they will accept your library and it will be published online. So someone else can use your modules or library if they want to perform the similar type of task, right? So module is nothing but functions, a combination of functions which can perform similar type of task whenever it is required, right? So I'll be discussing about few inbuilt modules today, right? Then we can external modules, how you can install external modules, right? And then later on we'll be discussing about how you can create your own modules, right? So let us move to next code, right? So say for example, I'll be working with a build module over here, right? So how to use modules in Python? Very simple thing, right? So I can say import. Now, import is a keyword in Python which is used to include any library or code of a library in your particular program, right? So here I'll be saying there is an inbuilt module called as web browser, right? Now, what this web browser module does, so it gives you some function to deal with your web browsers, default web browsers, right? So very simple example, right? So I'll be saying import web browser. There is another module, let us say the module name is time. So I'll be saying import time, right? So how you will be knowing about this module? It's very easy. If you practice more, you will be knowing about more and more modules, right? In Python, there is a module for every task you want to do related to computing, right? You won't find anything, right, that is not possible in Python, almost anything, right? So I have a module for opening a web browser. I have a module for dealing with time, right? So now what I want to do is to create a program for our developers. And what will be that program? That after every 1 minute, I'm keeping a small so that I can demonstrate it. You can increase the time. So after every 60 minutes, there should be a YouTube video that will be played for that particular programmer, right? It can be any entertainment video, or it can be anything, like just to take a break video, or just to play a song, right? Alan Walker, for example. Now, what I'll be doing for that, I'll be using two different modules, web browser and time, and this is how you can import it, right? Now, what I'll be doing, understand this, very simple thing. So I'll be saying for, let me say, I don't want to say for, I just, okay, let us use for so I can restrict it. So for I in ray into the bracket 3. So this code will be running 3 times, very simple, right? Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say web browser. So this is how you use module, and within module there is a function called as open, which opens a particular link for me, right? So understand the syntax. It is very important to understand the syntax. So web browser is module name, and within this module name there is a function called as open, right? So syntax is module name dot function name. Again, I'm repeating, module name dot function name, right? Now, these functions might contain some arguments, it might not contain some arguments, but with my experience, I know that I have to pass one URL over here, right? So what I'll be doing, I'll be just copy pasting one YouTube URL over here, right? So let me just try it. So this is just our Comscolar link. This is my YouTube video, which I have uploaded on Comscolar, right? I'm just copy pasting it, right? This is just being copy pasted, right? YouTube link is copy pasted, right? This code will be running 3 times. Now, what I have to do is, I want to make this program wait. Why? Because as I told you, I want to repeat this opening of YouTube link after every 1 hour, right? So for that, there is a module called as time, right? And what you can do with this time module, so there is a function within a module time called as sleep, and sleep accepts argument in terms of seconds, right? So say for example, I want to do it for 1 hour, right? So that is 60 seconds multiplied by 60, very simple. But for now, I don't want to wait for that particular large period, so I'll be saying 10 seconds. So after every 10 seconds, I want to open my web browser and this YouTube video should be played. Very simple example, right? And this will be repeated 3 times because my for loop is running 3 times. Now understand this, in this particular code, I have to use 2 different modules. One module is web browser and another module is time. Now you will be asking that, sir, how these modules directly? So these are some inbuilt modules available with Python. So once you install Python, these modules are available with you, with the programmers, right? So you don't have to do anything else. If you want to use any other module, there is a way to install external modules in Python, but I'll coming to that point after completion of this program. So now let us run this program and how it works. Let us check it, right? It's a very simple thing. I'm just running this code. And if you can see, this is opening my YouTube video for the first time, right? Now it will wait for 10 seconds, right? It will wait for 10 seconds, and after 10 seconds, again, this YouTube, yes. After 10 seconds, again, the YouTube is opening, right? After 10 seconds, again, one more time, YouTube will open. So if you can see that my tabs are getting opened again and again, right? So this is, you can do infinite times, right? You can set this while true, right? You can set it while true, and you can say web browser.open. You can pass any URL. This is how you open YouTube video. And that's why I passed YouTube URL. You can open any website or any fun activity which is available on the internet, and you can change your time with sleep, right? Now you will be asking me that, sir, how we can know about these modules and how we can work with the functions, how you can come to know about this web browser.open, or how you will come to know about this time.sleep. So it's very simple. If you don't know about this, there are 2 ways to go to it. So first way, it's very easy. You go to your web browser, look for Python 3 docs, right? So what is this? It is a documentation of Python 3, right? So let us say I'm going to this documentation 3.8, right? I'm into the documentation part. You can see this, right? Now what you have to do, here you cannot get anything, right? So they are saying that what is new to Python 3.8, what are the tutorials, right? Distribution, right? Everything is given, but how I can search for it? This is very difficult to understand, right? So again, you can navigate to the website, but I'm showing you the easiest way. Python 3 docs, and I'm looking for a web browser module. Right? Now, understand this. It is giving me docs.python.org 3 library and web browser. So if I click on this is the web browser module I have in Python. You can read or you can go through this docs, right? I'm looking for this open. So I'm just typing open over here, right? It says that is an open function. I can click on it, right? And this is the argument you have to pass. So web browser.open, URL is mandatory argument. New is set to 0 always, right? That is by default value, and authorization is also true. We are not going into the details of this open function because of time restriction, right? But there is, you have to pass URL, right? And there is one function called as open. There are other functions like open new or open in new tab, right? So you can go through this documentation, right? There is a documentation for Mozilla. There is a documentation for Chrome, right? For every browser, you will be getting the documentation, right? Very simple case, right? Now, what about other modules? So other module was time. So time module, Python 3 docs, right? So I'm opening time module, and there's a function which I was looking for was sleep, right? So there is a sleep function. Yes. And it can, if you can see, the argument is sex, right? So sex is what? Seconds, right? So sleep function accepts one argument, and that is seconds. And for that particular amount of time, for that particular amount of second, your program won't be running. It will be in stop mode, or it will be in wait mode, right? So this is how you can work with modules, right? And this is some inbuilt modules available in Python. Say, for example, I'll show you one more module that is available in Python and which we'll be using is math module. So math, Python 3 docs, right? So you can go through mathematical modules. So there are functions like cell, sine, factorial, square root, right? There are so many more. GCD is also there, right? So you can go through all the functions if you are interested in it, right? Or you can search on the internet. Now, another way to do so is, say, for example, I don't want to go through all the documentation because sometimes it might happen that documentation is so large and it will take time to read. But the better practice is always go through the documentation. But if you are in hurry, right, you can search on the internet, right? That what module I can use, right, for operating a particular task or performing a particular task, right? And there are so many websites available on the internet which can help you. One of the famous website which will come to your help is Stack Overflow, right? If you find your query, if you pass your query on Stack Overflow, for many of the questions, answer will be available. And if answers are not available, community is so large that community people will be answering your question so immediately, right? So this is how you can work with modules, inbuilt modules, right? Now, say, for example, if you want to perform some task and Python doesn't contain any inbuilt module for that, then how you can work with it? Say, for example, okay, before that, I want to discuss one more thing. You can use aliasing over here. So this is a larger name. Every time when I use a function within a web browser module, I have to say web browser dot some function name, right? So if I want to make a shorter name, I can say import web browser SWR. So this is known as aliasing. Aliasing is nothing but you are just giving a nickname to web browser module, right? So nickname is now WR. So every time when you want to use WR web browser module, we can call it as with WR, right? And this code will also work, right? So if I run it, right, it is opening YouTube for me, and it will, and this will open 3 times. It will be opening my particular thing 3 times. So I'm just stopping my program with Control C. Okay, it is completed. So this is completed. This is opening 3 times. So this is one more way to open or use modules in Python. So sometimes it might happen that you have larger names, like, say, for example, if I give you one example of it, matplotlib.pyplot, right? When you want to use any function of this library, matplotlib.pyplot, every time you have to write matplotlib.pyplot. So it is larger name. So generally community prefer the names for this. So that can be referred as PLT. So you can write it like this: import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. Or say, for example, if you want to use numpy, so every time we'll be working with numpy. So every time you don't have to say numpy, people refer it as np. So import numpy as np, right? Or there is a longer name, say for example, xml.elementary.etree. So every time I have to write this longer syntax, so I can use it like this: import xml.elementary.etree as et, right? So when I want to use any function of this library, I can just call et, right? So that is kind of a nickname you can use, right? For time, again, you can do it. So for time, you can do it like this: for import time as t, very simple, right? And then you can say t.clip. Now use name such that it is not conflicting with any other function name or any other module name, right? So you have to choose your aliasing name properly, right? Another way to import this is, there is another syntax. So you can do it like this, or I'll keep it this as it is, right? And you can do it like this: from time import sleep. So you don't want to use this prefix, and from time module, I just want to use this sleep function, right? So now what I can do, I have imported a specific function from this module, and that function name is sleep. So I'm not working with all the functions which is available in time library, right? I'm working with a specific function called as sleep. So understand this. When I use this syntax, import web browser, it imports all the functions in my program, right? But when I use this particular syntax, from time import sleep, it just imports the sleep function in my code, right? So I can use this sleep function without any prefix now. Understand this. I have not said that time.sleep or t.sleep, right? I've just said sleep, right? And this will also work, right? This is a very simple way to work with a single function within a particular model. I always prefer to use the upper syntax, this one, import web browser. Why? Because when you are working with function, when we are working with a larger code, it is always better to have a prefix so that other programmers will come to know that you are using a function from web browser module, or you are using a function from time module, right? So it is always a better practice to use this particular syntax. But if you want to reduce your code size, and if you want to work with a single function, you can use this particular syntax also. There is one more, right? So you can do it like this: from time import star, right? And this is also another way to import all the functions in your program, right? So from time module, import all the functions. Star means all, right? So import all the functions, right? And if you want to work with multiple functions, you can separate it with comma. So let us say sleep, and let us say c time also. C time gives you a current time, right? You can work it like this also. There are other ways to import modules, right? So this is how you work with inbuilt modules, right? Now I'll show you how to work with external modules, right? Say for example, you want to do certain functionality, and that function is not available in by default available with Python, right? So you might have to work with external modules. You have created list, but say for example, I want to create arrays in Python. So what is the difference between list and array? List can contain multiple type of data, array can contain single type of data, right? And there is no inbuilt data structure called as array in Python. Still I want to work with it. So there is a module called as numpy in Python, right? So how you can work with it? So open your command prompt, very simple, right? Generally, I open it with an administrator mode, so there is no conflicts at the time of installation, right? Open it with administrator mode, right? Just type this command pip, right? And if you press enter, and if you are getting some output, that means your path to pip is set. If you are getting an error called as pip is not recognized as internal or external command, you have to set path for pip, same as we have set path for Python, right? So you have to set path for pip, and then you have to say pip space install space any other module name, right? External module. So say for example, I can search on the internet that which module is available for performing or for creating array, right? So module name is numpy, right? Numpy is already installed in my computer, so it will be giving me that requirement is already satisfied. But when I run this command, see this, it is giving me requirement is already satisfied, but when you run it for your computer, it will be installing numpy for you, right? Say for example, I can say pip install. I want to install any package, right? So there is a package for scrapping in Python called as Beautiful Soup, right? So the package name in Python indexing is BS4, right? So I can run it. right? And if you can see, it is saying me collecting BS4, right? That means BS4 was not installed in my computer, right? Now it is downloading from the Python package indexing, right? And it is installed, right? So you will get this message, successfully built BS4 and it is being installed successfully, right? So now BS4 is available with me, right? And I can work with these modules, right? So let us just give you a small example of NumPy. So NumPy was already installed in my computer and I can say import NumPy as NP, right? And you can create arrays with NumPy. So there is a variable called as np array. I have created new variable and the function is array, right? So np is my module name, aliasing I have used, and I can say array, and you can pass any collection over here. So let me pass a list 1 comma 2 comma 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Very simple example, right? I want to check type of array, so print type into the bracket np underscore array, right? So we have used external module called as numpy, which can refer we can refer it as np, and we can call the function array from that particular module, right? And it will convert my collection to n dimensional array. So if you check the type, right, you can see this, it is class numpy.nd array. So what is nd array? N dimensional array, right? So this is how you can use you can use external modules, right? Or you can use it like this also, from bs4 import eautiful soup as, let me say, bs, right? This is just a simple way to import beautiful soup. Let me run it, right? And the code has been successfully executed. That means I'm able to import this beautiful soup in my program, right? I'm not going into the details of beautiful soup and how you can do the scrapping. We'll cover it in advanced Python, how you can do scrapping with a static website using beautiful soup, right? So this is how you can use external modules which are available for Python, right? Many of the problem solvers are working on those modules, right? You have modules for everything. If you want to work with web, there is a particular package or module called as Django or Flask you can use. If you want to work with machine learning, you might have heard about TensorFlow, or you might have heard about Keras, or you might have heard about scikit-learn, right? If you want to work with NumPy or array, there is a module called as NumPy. If you want to work with data frame, you have a module called as pandas. If you want to work with visualization, there is a module called as bokeh or matplotlib, right? So many more modules are available for each and every task. Say for example, I want to apply scrapping, right? There is a module called as Scrappy or Selenium available in Python, right? So you can work with any of the modules available in Python, right? Now, what is next? Say, for example, I want to create our own module, right? How I can work with it. So let me create a sample file called as test.py, right? Or let me create a new one, right? I'll call it as math.py or mathematics.py, anything, right? I'm creating two functions over here, define add, which will accept num1 and num2, very simple thing, right? And then what I'll be saying is return num1 plus num2, right? And next I'll be saying define sub, say for example subtraction, again num1 comma num2. I'm just giving you a small example. You can have anything over here. Module can contain a class, module can contain a function, or it can contain a global variables, anything, right? Anything which is allowed in Python, module can contain it, right? So there are two functions in this particular file, add and sub. You can create as many as you want. For the demonstration function purpose, I'm just using two, right? Now what I'll be doing is I'll be saving this file. Let me call it as mathematics, or let me call this as simple maths. Simple maths, right? Now, what will be the extension of the file? So it's very simple. The extension of the file should be .py, right? So there is a simple maths, and the file name is .py, right? So I've saved this file, right? For testing, I can run it, but it won't be performing any task because I have not used any print statement or anything over here. Now, say for example, I want to make this particular file as module. So how you can do that? So it's very simple. You don't have to do anything. I'll be going to test file again, right? This is my test file, right? What I'll be doing is I'll be calling this import. What was my file name? Simple maths, right? Let me call it as SM, simple maths as SM, right? So where this file is stored, so if you can see that, there will be a folder called as Comscolar, right? In this Comscolar folder, there is a file called as simple maths, and there is another file text.py on which I'm working right now, right? So import simple maths as SM, right? Let me take two numbers over here. So integers, and let me make it float. Float input, enter the value for num1, right? And there should be num2 also, right? So float and then input, enter the value for num2. Very simple case, right? Now I have created two numbers. From SM, I want to use two different functions. First was addition and second was subtraction, right? So add and sub, there are two functions available in SM module. So what I can do is, now it was returning, so I can call print and then sm dot add. So sm is my module name, add is a function name within it, and I can call num1 comma num2. Very simple, and the bracket, and I'll be just copy pasting this. Another function is sub, right? So I'll be saying print sm dot sub num1 comma num2. Very simple case. Let me run it. Right, it is asking me. Let us say my first value is 20.12. Right, 20.12, and my second value is 15.45, say for example, right? First will be giving me addition, second will be giving me subtraction, right? What I have done, why it is giving me 0, 0. So addition is correct, it is 30.35.57. Let me go to SM. Okay, I said num2 minus num2, so this should be num1 minus num2. Okay, very simple case. Not running it. Let me rerun this code. So again 20.12 and 15.45. Right, now if you can see, it is giving me addition as well as subtraction, right? And this is how you can create your own module for any task, right? For if you think that this task is not available, this function is not available in Python, you can create your own module and own function, and you can distribute this module to Python community, right? So how this works, how this module concept works. So understand this. When you are working with your user-defined modules, you have to take care of three things. First thing, if you are working with your own user-defined module, and if you are importing it from another file like this test, right? This was my module, and I'm importing from this test.py. Either they should be available in same folder. So as I told you in this example, they are available in same folder called as Comscolar. Yes or no? First case. Second case, if you want to work with it, right, and if you don't want to keep it in the same folder, you can keep this particular module, that is simplemaths.py, in the Python folder where your Python application or Python setup is present, right? Your Python file is present. Still, if you don't want to keep it in the Python file, you can keep it in the path called as libraries side packages, right? Side packages is a folder where all the external modules will be installed. So I have installed pip install bs4 or pip install numpy and bs4 both will be available in the side packages folder, right? So same way, this sm you can keep, or this simple maths folder or file you can keep in the side packages folder, and this will work. So there are three different paths where you can keep your user-defined modules, and this is how you can work with user-defined modules. Now I'll be explaining you one last example, and the last example is very simple: how to work with packages. So packages is nothing but it is combination of modules, right? So I'll be working with same simple maths.py, right? But before doing this, I'm creating a folder. Let me say the folder is Kelsey, right? And in Kelsey, I'm copy pasting my sample maths.py, right? I copy pasted my simple maths.py in Kelsey folder, right? Now what I can do is I can create another file. So that is another module for me. Let me just copy paste it. And let me call this advanced maths, ADV maths, right? And in advanced maths, I'm going to edit some code over here, right? So instead of using this add and subtraction, I'm going to call math library. So import math, and I'm going to call create my user defined function. Let me say SQ. SQ is nothing but SQRT of a number. So let me call it as num1, right? And you can call it as math.sqrt into the bracket num1, right? Another function which I'm going to call is, let us say, log10, right? And again, let me say num1, and let me call this as maths.log based on 10 with num1. And let me create one last function. Let me go it for sign. So define si, let us say, or let me say define pi r. So it is just returning value of pi, right? So let me say return math.py. I forgot to mention over here that should be return statement over also here also, right? Return math.log10 and return math.sqrt, right? So this is math.py is just a constant available in math library, which will return you 3.14, right? So I'm calling this file advancedmaths.py, and I'm saving it, right? Let me run it so I can check whether there is an error or not. It is successfully running. So there is no error. It is not printing anything because we have not printed anything in this file. I'm just closing it, advanced.py, advancedmaths.py, I'm closing it. So in folder, Kelsey folder, now I have two files. Which two files? Simplemaths.py and advancedmaths.py. Now, if Kelsey folder is containing two files, they are considered as two modules. And we have already seen when it is a combination of module, we can call it as a package. So Kelsey is nothing but Kelsey is package, right? Once you want to create your own package in Python, you have to take care of one thing, one more thing. And that thing is you have to create a file called as underscore init underscore dot py. Very simple name, underscore init underscore dot py. Now, why you have to do so? Why you are creating this file? If you don't create this file within a folder, Kelsey folder, Kelsey won't be treated as Python package. Understand it. If you want to make Kelsey as Python package, this file is mandatory. Now, next question will be what should be the content of init.py? So it's very simple. You can keep it blank for now, right? You can include your code later on, but for now I'm keeping it blank and it will work, right? So understand this thing, simplemaths.py, that is one module, advancedmaths.py, it is another module. We have combined it in a folder called as Kelsey. So Kelsey is my package, but to create Kelsey folder as Python package, you have to create this file init.py, and this file can be blank for now, right? Now understand this, what I'll be doing is, so I have simple math, and advanced math. Test.py is outside Kelsey folder. So if you can see this, test.py is outside Kelsey. So I can use this Kelsey. If I keep test.py within Kelsey, I cannot use Kelsey package, right? There won't be any reference for it, right? So test.py should be outside Kelsey folder, so which is present in the Comscolar folder, right? Now understand this, what I'm doing. So I'm again in test.py. And now how I'll be working. So from, now this is how you use packages in Python. So it always start with from. So earlier I have used from bs4. So bs4 was package. And I've said import beautiful soup, right? You know the syntax. So from bs4 was package. Similar to that, here also you have to use package name with from syntax. So from is keyword followed by a package name. So what is my package name? It's very simple, Kelsey. And I want to import two modules from it. What is that two modules name? So be specific with your file names. So if you don't remember, go back to your folder, right? And check that it is simple maths and advanced maths. So I'll be calling simple maths. Let me call this SM, and I'll be doing it one more time. From Kelsey import advanced maths as am, let us say. Right? Now again same thing, num1 is equal to integer into the bracket input, right? Enter the value for num1. I'll terminate the string quotes and let me create another variable num2 with same syntax, integer into the bracket input, enter the value for num2. Right, so I have created this. Now what you have to do is we have to use functions available in this packages, right? So let me say print, because every time I was using return. So from sm I have addition function. The same syntax earlier we have used num1 comma num2, print into the bracket simple maths. There is another function name called as sub. Sorry, I can say num1 comma num2, again print. From advanced maths, I'll be using functions. So let us say am. I don't remember the function name. So let me just open it. Okay, I'll not call it as log10. Let me call this as log10 like this. Let me rerun it so that it will be compiled. Yeah. So sq, log10 and pi. I have used three different things, right? Pi r. So let me call sq first in test.py. So am dot sq into the bracket num1. I'm looking for number only, right? Because there is only one argument. Print into the bracket am dot next function was log 10 into the bracket num1 and print am dot pi r. There is no argument in pi r, so I'm just calling the function. If you can check, there is no argument in pi r, so just I'm calling the function. Right? Very simple example. Right? Let us run this code. Let us pass some values so that square root can be found and log10 values can be found. So I'll be starting with 4, right? Or you can do it like this also, log10 and into the bracket am dot sq into the bracket num1. So I hope I have terminated all the brackets. Let me check. Yeah, now it is complete. So you can do it like this also, am dot log underscore 10 into the bracket am dot sq into the bracket num1. This is also valid, right? So let us run it. So it is asking me enter the value for num1. Let me say it 4, very simple case, and num2, let me say it 2, right? So 4 plus 2 is 6, 4 minus 2 is 2. Square root of 4 is 2.0. Now understand the syntax. Am log 10, am dot sq num1. So num1 was 4, right? So square root of 4 is 2 and log 10 into the bracket 2 is it is 0.3010, right? So answer is 0.3010 and value of pi is 3.14, right? So this is how we have created our own module, right? And this is how you can work with it. This is we have covered functions today, how to work with multiple keyword parameters, multiple positional parameters, right? What is a docstring in Python? How to create or how to use modules in Python, inbuilt modules, as well as I have showed you how to use external modules, how to create our own modules, how to create our own packages, right? So I think time limit is there, so we won't be able to consider or we won't be able to cover exception handling today, right? We are already done with the timings, right? I'm open for question answer session, so if you have any question, you can ask me. Neil. Neil, are you there? Neil?
Yeah, sir.
Okay. So is there any question?
Just a second, sir. So there is a question from Sandhya that, sir, can we have more than one package in one folder? Is that possible?
Yes. Sandhya, let me clear your answer with sharing the screen again. Let me show you one sub package in my Python. Neil, can you see my screen?
Uh, yes, sir. I
Folder,
can see your.
folders are available.
Just a second, sir.
Okay. Sandhya, this is the answer to your question, right? I'll be working with leap. So, XML, yeah. So consider this, I'm in a Python 36. So this is my Python version and I'm in a library folder. This is inbuilt package I'm talking about. And there is a package called as XML, right? Now in XML, there are sub packages also available. So there are parsers available for XML. Different parsers are available for XML. Say for example, how many parsers are available? So there are 4 different parsers available for XML. You can use DOM, you can use etree, right? So this all are sub packages. And if you consider a sub package also, there will be modules within it, right? So these are the Python files available within it. So they are modules, they are sub packages, and XML whole is a package. So now if I want to work with this etree, say for example, my syntax will be like this: XML dot etree dot, there is an elementary over here. If you can see this elementary, right? So how I can import it? Understand this, I'm writing it in the code, right? You can import it like this: import XML. Now, what was sub package? XML was package name. What was sub package name? So sub package name was etree, right? And within this etree sub package, there was a file called as element tree. This is a module name, right? So this is how you can work with it, right? And then you can call it as ET, right? Which is a small or aliasing for this particular module, right? So this is how you can have sub packages also. You can create sub packages. There is no issue. Yes, Neil. Any other question?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Neil. Thank you so much for your kind patience, right? Hope you have gained a lot of knowledge today for modules and packages. Thank you, Neil.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Ritvik, sir, for delivering a wonderful session. And thank you, guys, for attending this session. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our channel. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.